What's up, ladies, gentlemen, everything in between and on the outskirts. Welcome to Yukhazara Anime, where I'll attempt to give my thoughts in reviewers type of manner on anime that either I've been watching or recommended by people for me to take a look at. Today we're going to be looking at Trigun Stampede, which is the second animated adaptation based on the manga created by Yasuhiro Nightow, with its first being the iconic 1998 series. But unlike that one, this time around we'll see the Trigun IP be handed over to Studio Orange for the production and will be published through Toho Animation. Studio Orange is the same studio that brought us Black Bullet, Dimension W, Beastars, and Land of the Illustrious, just to name a few. Actually, I did a review on this one. Check out the link in the description if you want to see it. Well, that's enough of the background. If someone was to describe Trigun Stampede and said it was a reimagining of the anime that came out in the 90s, they wouldn't be wrong. Many liberties was taken, and not just by the obvious visuals, but how the core story is told, its pacing, characters being somewhat swapped out, with the remaining familiar returning ones possessing noticeable differences within their personality. But before I dive into those liberties, what is the story of Trigun? Well, just like the manga in the 90s anime iteration, Trigun tells the misadventures of a man named Vash who travels across a mostly desert planet and getting into trouble due to his past refusing him to let him be in peace. The name of this planet is called No Man's Land, and within it, he gained the reputation as being called the humanoid typhoon, due to the tendency that destruction will always lie in wake wherever he finds himself. This makes him the most dangerous and feared person alive, and also the reason why he has such a huge bounty on his head. You see, in this seemingly dystopian future, some people would do almost anything to obtain a large amount of currency, and may even throw away their morals to do so. Here, it's all about survival, given the circumstances that resources like clean water, or even food for that matter, are considered a luxury to have. This scarcity in so many ways has led to the world becoming somewhat like a Wild West. And as a matter of fact, that's exactly what it is. This is where outlaws and maniacs with guns are the ones who call the shots. No pun intended. As Vash being considered the most dangerous by society, it would be safe to assume that he totes around a gun as well, and that his marksmanship is unparalleled. If the viewer is thinking this, then indeed you are correct. Ironically, instead of taking life, Vash always attempts to save lives, even the lives of those who don't hesitate to cause him traumatic pain, suffering, and anguish. To him, it doesn't deter him from his belief that all life should be cherished in spite of their unforgivable intentions. The manifestation of such that opposes his moral and optimistic approach is the antagonist who sees humanity as being nothing more but a consuming selfish and destruction plague wherever they go. Within the series, he does something extremely drastic just to prove just how far he's willing to go with a catastrophic event that sets the plot within motion. But along the way, Vash is accompanied by the side characters Mel Strife, an entry-level reporter along with a senior that is shadowing her, Roberto De Niro, whose name obviously doesn't look like the derivative of the legendary actor's name Robert De Niro, and lastly, a self-proclaimed undertaker that half-asses his religious devotion by the name of Nicholas D. Wolfwood. These four characters make up the central cast of this show. When I found out that Studio Orange was going to be at the helm with the animation, I already knew that it was going to be amazing, and I'm proud to say that it didn't disappoint. The amazing camera angles and the scaling of grandiose monsters are just breathtaking. Coming from looking at Studio Orange's work and how they did the Land of the Illustrious, and then viewing the trailer for Stampede for the first time, I did have my doubts, but after watching it, I enjoyed it. Taking a route of going CGI is awesome, but it feels like it sacrifices the cartoonish and ridiculous exaggeration of characters I remember in exchange for a sense of realism. For example, let's look at the Nebraska family. I remember the big one being so huge that he flipped over a car by just stepping on it, and now his size is, well, a little bit more believable. Other character redesigns look like as if they took their nickname and made it literal. While we're on character designs, I kinda laughed when I first saw Vash's new appearance, comparing it to Devil May Cry when they redid Dante's look in that reboot. Ironically, Devil May Cry told the story of two brothers who weren't human, possessing perspectives on humanity's tendencies. One brother, who's the protagonist, wore a red long trench coat and fought with primarily guns. He believed that humans have the potential to be good. However, his brother didn't share the same sentiment. He believed that humanity by nature are problematic and that him and his brother are superior. And lastly, the brother that essentially was the antagonist primarily fought with blades. Due to their different stances, both were always locked within conflict throughout the years. Within the DMC reboot, people felt some type of way that Dante didn't look like how we knew him from the original series, but after things happen to the protagonist, he ends up gaining some semblance of the iconic look that fans grew to love. And by the end of the game, people came to the conclusion that this soft reboot also served as a prequel of sorts. And now that I think of it, that pretty much is Trigun Stampede. Now let's talk about the music. Gone is the hard-hitting rock, and hello to the softer, smoother, sophisticated, and tamed, heard within the intro song Tombi, sung by Baba. To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if I heard this song playing within a cafe or a bookstore or something. Trigun Stampede Stampede original soundtrack is composed by Tatsuya Kato. I would describe some of the songs definitely being influenced by some of those old western type films with the use of harmonicas and whistling melodies. Clear examples of these can be found on the songs No Man's Land, Hide and Seek, and Mystery Man. But then you have other songs like Immigrant Space Explorer that brace open the scope to a grander scale, reminding the viewers that Trigun is still taking place within a future that possesses unimaginable technology that in comparison to real life is only theorized, contemplated on, and hopefully one day may be a reality. That is, if people don't mind being sacrificial test subjects. This original soundtrack has everything from cerebral songs that you can meditate to, like the song Ethics and Morality that has its jazz flute coming in, to wondrous and common songs like Buy a Power Reactor, to songs that will make you move like this 1 minute up-tempo song called Escape, or even the cinematic sounds coming from the song Chase. I would include links so you can peep out the music for yourself within the description below. Now let's talk about those character changes, or rather those liberties that I mentioned before, starting with the tone of Stampede. Compared to the 1998 series, which had a whole lot of lighthearted comedy built within its DNA, this time around, everything seems to be much more serious, sometimes to the point where some familiar people that I knew behaved almost unrecognizable. No other person serves as the perfect example to this than Wolf would. In the 1998 original, him and Vash were like brothers, kindred spirits that were cut from the same cloth. Although both fellas have different distinctive perspectives on subjects, it was hard to tell them apart, which made a certain revelation a bit surprising to discover. Mr. Nicholas appeared nice, caring, and could actually laugh. In Trigun Stampede, this guy is just a straight up asshole. Both versions of the anime stays true to the same story plot points. However, the certain reveal isn't much of a surprise here because of his personality. If anything, in Stampede it makes it totally clear that Mr. Nicholas D. Wolfwood is totally different than Vash. This is something that took many episodes and time to realize within the 1998's original, kinda like Vash's arm or the mystery of his past. While I'm talking about the story, the pacing within Stampede is ironically described within his name. It doesn't waste time getting to the point. One of the strengths of the original Trigun animation is that although compared to his sleek and sexy new version and visuals, the older series took time to build up his world and characters all the way up until the end where the payoff stuck his landing, and it was much more impactful. Most of the events that I remember are here in Stampede as well, but it's either compounded up on top of each other, taken out, kept, but it's placed within a different time from its familiar continuity. Essentially, don't go into thinking that Stampede is just a one-for-one recreation of the 1998 series, because if you really want to keep it a buck, even that adaptation wasn't a faithful translation of the manga. And if I can compare Stampede to my gamers out there, think of it as Final Fantasy 7 Remake in terms of the original 1998 anime. You see recognizable people and certain things play out, but just like within the Final Fantasy 7 Remake, it ends in an over-the-top cataclysmic event that's set up for what is to come. And you best believe there is a season 2 that is coming. There were extremely important key people who made their appearance in quite a few episodes whose conflicts weren't necessarily resolved, along with the mention of a certain assistant coming into the fray. And by looking online, I know that there will be some people who may not like Trigun Stampede, but for me personally, it brought more to the table than what I gave it credit for. But just like Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood and another anime known as Hell's and Ultimate, it feels like the creator would expect the audience to at least have seen the previous anime series to better enjoy Stampede. And also, if you read the manga, you'll be somewhat pleased to know that Stampede is also the debut of some beloved characters. To wrap up this review, there was a whole lot that I enjoyed about Trigun Stampede. It's a bit more brutal in regards to death, and the inclusion of powers to a certain someone made things interesting in regards to help elevate the menacing sadistic side of a certain someone. But until then, you can check out season 1 via Crunchyroll or Hulu subscription, and don't forget to spread
love and peace! Love and peace! Love and
peace.